Hey guys, Toki here, bringing you our third 5-minute or less raid guide for Vault of the Incarnates. These guides are meant to give you a brief rundown of the fight while skipping over common threats such as dodging swirlies and focusing on the really fight-defining mechanics for each boss. I highly recommend you supplement this guide by watching other guides with actual fight footage so you know what these mechanics look like. In addition, I'd like to caveat that this strategy is based on information we've received from beta. We're closely monitoring any changes Blizzard might make, and we'll adjust our strategy accordingly closer to raid week. With that out of the way, I'd like to share our strategy for the Council. The Council is a very standard 4-boss council fight where all bosses have to die at the same time. And this fight has 4 main bosses: an ice boss, an earth boss, a fire boss, and an electric boss. And we'll start with the earth boss first, and that boss his special is Earthen Pillar. He'll target 4 random players and he'll spawn pillars. Um, and those pillars will come down after a few moments and you'll have to move out of the AoE. The first drop we'll want to put in the middle of the room, either directly in the middle circle or right around the edge of the middle circle. We want these close by, but we also want them out of the way. And this only really applies for this first drop. Reason we drop them there is because the electric boss's special ability is mitigated by these pillars. And we'll go over that now. The electric boss at 100 energy casts Conductive Mark. This will spread on contact, and so we'll need to maintain a loose spread throughout the raid. There's 2 ways to get this off of you. You either let it expire, which takes 10 to 15 seconds or so. In Mythic, it does not expire. Or you bring it to one of these earthen pillars that will effectively ground the conductive mark and immediately remove the debuff from you. Next, we'll talk about the fire boss. The fire boss shoots out meteor axes, which is very similar to the mechanic on Aranog, in which they will leave fiery pools on the ground. And so, similar to Aranog, we'll move them to the outside of the arena, and we'll kite the boss around the edge, leaving successive fiery pools on the outside. Now, these fiery pools have another benefit in which they clear the earthen pillars from the earth boss. And so after the first set of earthen pillars that go in the middle of the room, successive earthen pillars will be dropped on the edge of the room so that players with the meteor axes can use them to clear those pillars. And we'll rotate around the room, clearing pillars and creating extra space by tanks dragging the bosses counterclockwise. And finally, that leaves the Ice Boss, which at 100 energy casts a Blizzard, which has a stacking damage increase that once it reaches, I believe it's 10 stacks, will freeze you in place, stunning you for the duration until you're either attacked out or a meteor axe is dropped on you. Now, you can stop this by moving into one of the fiery areas on the ground, and it will reset your stack. You don't have to wait until you're stunned. And so while Blizzard is going on, we'll just be dipping in and out of the fire pools as minimally as necessary so that we don't get frozen solid. Now, in addition to these mechanics, there's a couple interrupts on the electric boss as well as the ice boss, but we'll get into that in more detail in the actual raid plan. And that's all there is for this fight. We continue around the room until either we die or the bosses die. And so that concludes our guide on Council. Make sure to smash that like button for the algorithm or something. Happy raiding!